Hello everyone, in this video we are going to talk about how to create a test case in Tosca. This is going to be a high level overview in which I'm going to show how easy it is to create a test script in Tosca and what kind of validations we can do. In case you like my content, do like, share and subscribe. So let's get started. I have mentioned the steps as well here, which I'm going to mention in the description box. Now first we'll try to understand what scenario we are going to automate. So I have this website called demoappytools.com. Basically, it is a mock website which is used for automating. So you can practice on this particular website. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to perform action on this particular login form and input username and password. Now, how it works is whatever username or password you want to enter. So if I write test, and if I click on sign in, it is going to log in. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So let me show you how to get started with Tosca. So first step is launch Tosca commander, and this should be set up in your system. In case you want to know about how to install and everything, I'll create another video for that. So Tosca commander is launched. When Tosca commander gets launched, you will see something like this. Okay, now there are two options, open or create new. So if you already have a project created, a workspace created, you can click on open and select that particular location, but we are going to create a new one, so I'm going to click on this. Okay, here you will notice that we have some options like select type of repository. What does it mean? Is single user workspace, that you are working on this particular workspace alone. Okay, but usually when you work in a team, you will have a multi-user repository. So when you click on you have to select what type of backend is there, and then you have to mention the connection string and obviously the other stuff. But for training purpose, you can always use single user workspace. Okay, now you have to select the name for a new workspace. So let's write like Tosca tutorials. You can put any name you want. Now here you will find this option, use workspace template. So since you're getting started with this, clicking on this is a very good idea. So what it does is it automatically imports whatever standard modules have been created by Tosca. So what happens is whatever kind of reusable things or very common occurrences are there, for that they have created the modules by default, which makes our automation of whatever application or whatever project we are working in very easier. Okay, so in case you forgot this, you can go to this particular location and you can re-import this, and even if that file is not present, you can download it from the support portal. Okay, I'll click on OK. What it is doing right now is it is creating a workspace for me. This is going to done very quickly because we do not have anything and we are just creating a new single user workspace. But in case you're working on a multi-user workspace and it has a lot of artifacts in that, then it is going to take some time. Okay, now once it is launched, we'll be able to see the entire UI. Before getting started, there are few configurations which we should make sure that it exists on our system. So whatever browser you're using, make sure that the browser zoom setting is set to 100%. Now Tosca is very sensitive in terms of the zoom settings and the resolution settings. So the ideal zoom and resolution settings needs to be in picture, otherwise when you will find controls you won't be able to, and it is going to misalign. So zoom settings need to be 100%, that you can find by clicking on these three dots and going to zoom, and similarly in other browsers as well. And in terms of resolution settings, you can go to this display and change the resolution of the display, and if I'll open this, here you will see it needs to be set to 100%. So these two settings needs to be there for us to effectively work with this, otherwise the identification elements are not going to work properly. Okay, now since this is loaded, let me show you things here. So test cases, modules, requirements, there are a lot of different feature it offers. Okay, but since we are going to talk about a basic test case creation, we are not going to deviate from this topic. Okay, now first thing is whatever application you are going to work on, that in case you're new to automation, what we need to do is we need to get the unique elements of this particular page on which we want to perform operations. Okay, in case you have worked with Selenium and all, we will use the backend HTML DOM structure to find that. But in case of Tosca, you don't need to do all that. Tosca provides an inbuilt functionality of scanning a particular application, which is by default going to pull the properties. Now we can customize as per our need. So that is the basic thing in terms of automating any application. We need to find the elements, and then we need to find the unique property of that, and then we'll perform certain actions on that. So Tosca is totally based on model based test automation. What do we mean by that is, whatever page we want to work on with, we will actually create a model of that which will contain the elements on which we want to work on, and then we will import that in our test case, and that will provide us the option to provide whatever different type of actions we can do. Okay, so come back to our scenario. Here we are going to locate these particular elements and perform actions on that. So let's see how we'll do that. So this module is there. Inside this module section you will find the scan button. Okay, you'll click on this, you'll find a lot of different options. We'll select application because we are going to work on web-based UI. Now whatever application is open on your system, Tosca is by default going to give you the option of all those screens. Okay, now you can select whichever, like let's say I want to work on this, I can select this. Okay, since we are working on this, I can select this, and here below you will see the option of scan. Okay, let me minimize this. So here you will see that option scan. Okay, the moment I click on this, what Tosca is doing is it is running a script or some functionality which is going to capture the properties of that page. Okay, now the important thing is you need to have the browser extension. Okay, I had the browser extension, I have uninstalled it just for this video, because sometimes you can download it from the Chrome Web Store or whichever browser you're working with, but that might create an issue if the correct version is not populated. If you are getting started, this is my recommendation to use it in this way. If I'll click on yes, it will by default give me the option on the browser so that the compatible extension is getting added. So if I'll click on add to Chrome and I'll click on add extension, and I will just close this. Okay, now your extension is added and you are good to get started. Okay, so see, it has got the extension now, and it is good to get started. So three basic things: your zoom settings, your system resolution settings need to be 100%, and then your Chrome extension needs to be installed to the right version. Okay, now what this scan has done is that has scanned this particular page and given us the different options. There could be case when you're scanning and it is in basic mode, then you won't be able to see anything here. Okay, so it is advised to click on this advanced, which is going to show you all the details. Now this particular page is going to have a lot of different functionality, as in highlight a particular element, identify, and all these things. Okay, so and in case your element is not located, you can always use this filter to the maximum. It is going to give all the elements on the page. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to find which element we are actually interested in. Okay, so here in our scenario, what we are going to do, we are going to just check if username is getting populated. We will validate that and we'll key in username, password, and then we'll click on sign in. So here one thing to note is whatever elements you want to work on, you can select. So I want to work on username, enter your username, password, enter your password, and sign in. Okay, now once you have selected your desired items, you can, if you want, you can remove this filter. So whatever is your need in terms of element, that is going to get selected. Okay, now I'll quickly show this highlight screen feature. So if I'll click on this and I'll click on highlight section, then it is going to highlight to the element which it is pointing to. So if say I'm clicking on this, it is pointing to this. Okay, and another way is we can click select on screen and select a particular item. So let's say I'll click on select on screen and let's say I'll click on this. So see, that particular element got added. Okay, now this is one way to do it. These are like different ways to do it. Now you have a lot of different option in terms of searching for an element. The most stable is identify by properties. I'm going to make a video on all the different type of identification methods as well. Now first and most important thing to note here is whatever elements you have downloaded, selected, that needs to be unique. Okay, so if I'll click on username, below you can see that the selected item is unique. If it is saying unique, we are good to go. And this is just a demo. I'm not going to change a lot of things here, but here you see it is validating by inner text. Okay, Now if you feel that this is not a stable property, you can select another stable property. Okay, similarly you'll click on all the elements and we'll see that this, as you can see, selected item is unique. Okay, now this is unique, this is unique, this is unique. Okay, now I got to do is I got to save this. Okay, so if I'll click on save, it is going to save this particular module. Now here if you see in Tosca, this is the module. Okay, you can rename this as per whatever you wish, so it's good idea to rename so that we are following some basic structure and it becomes easy for us to find everything. So login page I can mention like this. Okay, now your job of module creation is done. Now we will move to the test case section. So I'll click on this, and here you can right click and you will find this particular option called create a new test case. Okay, if I'll click on this, I can write demo test case. Okay, now I have to import this module into demo test case. One thing I can do is I can just drag and drop, go to test case and drag and drop here. I'll show you another way as well. I'll just click this, so you can float this as well. So if I'll click on float, it is going to be like this. Okay, sorry, and then I can go to my test cases, and in the demo test cases I can drag and drop easily here. So different ways, whichever suits your need. Okay, now whenever we are creating a test case in Tosca, we have to follow certain convention, like whatever browser you are opening and whatever URL are you passing, that is going to be part of the prerequisite, or Tosca says to the recommendation is to create to call it as precondition. Okay, so I'll just quickly show that. I'll go to my test case, and here if you'll right click, you'll get this option to create a folder. It's just for structuring, so I'll write precondition. Okay, and I'll create one more process, and let's say I want to then close the browser or whatever actions I want to perform, that is going to be post condition. Okay, and a quick thing to note here is we have a lot of different suggestions or best practices options available here, where like in work state you can move it to different statuses once it is completed or not, but we are not going to deep dive into that. I am just going to drag and drop this login page here. Okay, now let me maximize this. So here what we can see is we wanted to input the username and password. Okay, so what happens is, in case of username, this particular website is a mock website and it will accept any username and password. So I'll just write test here. So here you'll see we are going to pass this particular value. Now if I'll click outside, it will by default give me the input mode that it is going to enter in this particular text box, but you can change the action mode from here as to whatever action you want to perform. Okay, now I'll just write username and I'll write password as well as test. Okay, now these are the two values I want to pass, and sign in is a button, so I want to perform a click operation. So if you'll do curly brackets, you'll get a lot of different options. So I'll just select click, though click is not recommended, but we can use this as well in a lot of cases. Okay, I'm going to tell more effective ways in the upcoming videos. So this is a very basic thing I'm going to do. Okay, now if you see, your login page is right, but in terms of performing this operation, before this we need to tell which URL to launch, then only it is going to perform these operations, right? So for that, if you go to Tosca modules, standard modules, they are giving this functionality by default. Okay, now as you can see, we are not able to see modules anywhere right now. So it happens if you are closing this, it will not be visible here. So you can just go to home, and here in the section, if you click on section, you will find all the options. So if I'll click on modules, I'll be able to see this. Okay, and we can put it as doc as tab document, and it will come in this. Okay, so now let's move to the test case. Now there are two ways. I can go and look for that particular module where it exists for launching the browser and just drag and drop as we did before, or there's another way is, if I go to this, I have to create one step. So I'll click on this and I'll right click, and here you will find the option search and add test step. Okay, so we can do it that way or the other way as well. So if I'll click on this, I'll just search for URL, and this is going to load whatever is existing in the modules, and this is one of the standard modules. So I'll just click on this. Okay, and here our open URL is imported. Now what we need to do is we need to tell which URL to launch, right? So I will just go to this website and I'll copy this and I will paste this here. Okay, now this is going to open the URL and login is going to happen. We are not going to work in post condition as of now. Okay, now we need to tell to the script that which browser to open, right? So that has been made very easy in case of working with Tosca. Is we pass that particular value using this test configuration. So they call it as test configuration parameter. So I have selected the test case and I'll go to test configuration, and here I'll right click and I will see this particular option called TC, create test configuration parameter. Okay, I'll click on this, and what this is going to do is it is going to give me a lot of different options which I can pass in my test case. Okay, now since we are going to just talk about browser, I'm going to select that, but there are a lot of different options which you can check out. And here you don't even have to write which browser. You will click on just the drop down and you'll get to see that what all browser it supports, and you can select whatever you want. So I'll select Chrome. So see here, now we have mentioned which browser to use, and that is going to be in test configuration, and we have mentioned what URL to open. Obviously these things you can change. So since our website is something appy tools, I'll just say launch appy tools URL. Okay, and in the process also whatever name you want you can update it. Okay, I have mentioned login page and it is coming from the modules, but in case you want to change you can do that as well. So our test script is created now. Now we'll talk about how to run this particular test case. Okay, so I will right click, I will get an option to run in Scratchbook, or you can just click on this and press the button F6. Okay, now Scratchbook is something which is not going to store your, this is basically used for dry runs and validating if your script is working fine or not. So let's get ahead and click on this. So you will see a browser is launched, login happened, and I just clicked on sign in. Okay, and here you saw the green line, so that means our execution was, our test case was passed. Okay, and once the execution will happen, it is going to give you all these details here. So since it is not mentioning the step, I'll just, you can just click on this and click on this particular expand all, or you can use control plus as well, and it is going to show you what all steps has happened. Okay, now I'll just quickly show one more thing. So let's say this particular username I want to validate in this particular application, that okay, username is coming. Okay, the text is like this, like let's say I want to do that kind of validation. So I can validate in two different ways. So if I go to process, here in the input action mode you will get one option called verify as well. So if I'll click on verify, I have two options. Then I'll click on this and you can select a lot of different options like enable, exist, inner text, or visible. Okay, now if you are using like exist, visible, or something like that, I have to mention true or false. It's a boolean value. So if I mention true here, what it is going to do is it is going to validate that this particular text also exists, this particular element exists or not. So let's quickly run this and see, and it is going to be displayed in the results as well. So see, our login happened and it was successful, and here if I will launch this, you will see that verification was successful, and if I'll click on this, it is going to tell that this is the expected value, this is the actual value. I'll quickly show one more thing here. So this was our module login page. Okay, and this is what we were trying to validate. So if I'll click on username, I can click on this particular icon to see all the properties what it is using. Okay, now here you'll see one property called inner text. Okay, so inner text, I can use this particular property also to validate. So this is the exact name. I can copy from here. Okay, and I can go to my test case, and in case of verification, I can select in this particular drop down as inner text, and then I will mention what is the text I'm going to validate. Okay, so what it is going to do is it is going to validate from the property section. Now let's quickly run this and see if it is working fine. Just click on sign in and it has validated that. So I'll just quickly show you once the run has happened. Here we see verification was successful, and here we have validated our element using a property which was inner text. So there are a lot of other things which we can do, but since this was a primary video of showing how Tosca works, how we create a test case, I'm going to wrap up this video, but I'm going to put all these things in the description. I'm going to put the URL as well, and these are the steps on how you can do it. I'm going to put the settings as well here. In case you like my content, do like, share and subscribe. I'm going to launch a series of videos on this, so stay tuned and have a great day. Thank you.